What is going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another video. Woo! Before I get into the video, thank you guys for 2,000. You guys have been blowing up the channel. I really appreciate it. Next goal is 10,000. Most of you guys watching aren't even subscribed yet, so if everybody dropped a sub, we'd hit 10,000. I'd really appreciate if you guys can help me get there. It doesn't cost you guys anything and helps me out a ton. One more thing I want to mention before we get into the video, I did just start a Patreon where I'm going to be doing monthly giveaways. But alright, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So what happens if your clutch goes out while you're riding? How do you get the bike home? Most of this video is going to be a little hard to explain on the Husky because it has a quick shifter and an auto blipper, so I can go up and down without touching anything. But I'm going to jump on the 1190 during this video and I'll show you guys how to auto shift without an auto shifter. But yeah, so what this video is going to be talking about is if your clutch actually goes out. Like you snapped your clutch lever, you snapped your clutch cable, you lost hydraulic pressure. If you actually lost 100% of your clutch, this is how you could get home. I had it happen on a 600 and my Honda Blackbird, and I was able to ride the bike home with no problems because I know how to auto shift. The biggest problem with trying to ride a bike without a clutch is starting and stopping. So those are kind of the main things I'm going to talk about. But then once you have the bike moving, it's just auto shifting, which I'll show you how to do that on the 1190. I found the wheelies come up so much better with a clutch up. But yeah, so let's jump right into the hard thing first. How do you get started and how do you stop? So stopping, all you're going to want to do is use the auto downshift method to get yourself into neutral, and then you just come to the light and turn your bike off. Once your bike is off and you're at a stoplight, you have a couple options to get moving. This is by far the hardest part about riding without a clutch, and it definitely does put some wear on the bike, so you just have to determine if the wear is worth not going to get a trailer. Personally, I think the easiest way to do it, and this depends on your bike as well, how your electronics work, because like I don't think the Husky will let you do it. If you have a newer bike with a lot of electronics, some bikes won't let you do this. But I think the easiest way, you put the bike in first gear, clutch out obviously because you don't have one, and then you start the bike and the starter will actually pull you forward in first gear and get you moving. And then once the bike is started, you'll be rolling in first gear. So you can use your starter to get you moving. Like I said, it's going to put wear on the starter. It's not the best thing to do for your bike. But if you just needed to get home, you're probably only going to have to do it a couple of times if you're being smart about where you're riding. But so that's method number one to getting started. Method number two, which is the less hard option on your bike, but requires a little bit of muscle or a hill, is to get your bike to a stop, get it in neutral, start the bike, and then get off the bike and push it and roll it forward. And then once you're rolling, use the auto shift method to get your bike into first or second gear, most likely second gear once you're rolling. So that's not going to be as hard on the bike because you're not using your starter to get moving, but it is going to require either you running next to the bike to get momentum or having a hill or somewhere where you can get momentum. And the best thing to do when your clutch goes out is to try to just not stop, because if you can not stop, you can actually ride almost like normal without a clutch, as long as you know how to clutchless shift well, which that'll be what I'll go over on the 1190. But so alright, yeah, those are your two methods to get moving. I'm sure there's more, but those are just the two that I've used that I've found work well and don't put too much strain on the bike. But so now let's talk about clutchless shifting. Here's why I can't show you clutchless shifting. On the Husky, literally just pull up on the shift lever and it shifts. I don't need to let off the gas or anything. And then downshifting, I literally don't have to touch anything and I can just push down on the shifter and it auto blips and downshifts for me. I can't really show you guys on this bike because it'll actually mess with the transmission if I'm trying to auto shift while the ECU is also trying to auto shift. So let's go ahead and hop over to the 1190 and I'll show you guys how to auto shift. Alrighty, we're on the 1190. I forgot how big this bike is. Last time I rode this bike, I had a Honda Blackbird at the time, so it didn't really feel that big. Now that I've been riding the Husky, getting back on this thing, it feels massive. This is my dad's 2014 1190R, if you guys are curious about that. Super fun bike. But yeah, so this, I can show you guys how to quick shift on, or how to clutchless shift on this bike because it doesn't have a quick shifter. So this is, once you've got the bike moving using the other methods I've showed you, this is how you would actually ride and get around town with not being just stuck in first gear. Or like I said, how you would get down to neutral to come to a stop. Alright, so you can clutchless shift without damaging your transmission at all. It actually is completely harmless if done correctly. So the way you downshift, you're gonna give it a quick blip on the gas as you push down on the shifter. So here we go, ready? See how that absolutely seamless shift. And then for upshifting, you're gonna let off the gas, and as soon as you let off the gas, you click up on the upshifter. Just like that. Super, super easy. It's all about, see, that was a couple gears right there. I didn't touch the clutch once on that. And it does 0 damage to the bike. And here's downshifting. See, just, as long as you just have to get the feel for the throttle and how the bike works. But it's actually really fun to do once you've mastered it pretty well. It's a pretty rewarding feeling to do a proper clutchless shift. Alright, so here we go. Here's upshifting again. And it's actually a fast way to shift too, because you're basically like a quick shifter, but you're just doing the throttle cut yourself instead of the quick shifter. Because that's all a quick shifter does. Like on the Husky, what it does is when you go to push and put pressure on the shift lever, it slightly cuts the gas for a second. That's all a quick shifter does. So you just become the quick shifter. Cut, cut. And it allows it to shift perfectly. Same thing for downshifting. Rev match, rev match, rev match. So absolutely seamless downshifts. That's why I said I've ridden multiple bikes that have had the clutch go out on them and have ridden 50 miles home because it's no big deal. See, you don't need to use a clutch for shifting as long as you know how to rev match properly. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I appreciate you guys tuning in to check it out. Make sure to go check out the Patreon. You can get there by going to patreon.com/motolifemedia, and I will see you guys in the next one.